Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Grove. I am so happy to see you all here again. It's great to be back for another week of magic meditation and to discuss some tools that we can utilize along the way on our path to authenticity, awakening, and becoming all that we can be here on our path while we live in this body during this incarnation. But I do want to welcome you, and I would like to give you the opportunity to please feel free to join the chat, post in the comments, get to know some of the other people that are watching along with you. We all have something to add to the conversation, and maybe we can all learn a little bit something from each other. Today, we are going to be talking about the difference between expectations and standards. And there's been some confusion, even on my part, of what they are. And I'm going to go into this topic in a little bit later in a couple of minutes. And as usual, though, I like to start the show with an invocation of the goddess. So if you would like to join me, you're more than welcome to close your eyes. If not, just hang out and feel the good vibes. O great goddess, lady of the night and the silvery moon, she whom is the darkness and the light that shines through it, hail to thee, great lady of the moon, and hear us, your children, as we ask of your divine presence here within our sacred circle of light, where we have come to partake of the great beauty, strength, and wisdom that lies within each and every one of us. Blessed be. Thank you for that. Let me head on over to the chat, see if anybody's popped on the chat yet. Say hello. Nope, nobody's saying hello yet. So I'm going to keep moving on, but I do have an eye on the chat, so if you'd like to say hi, I'll be more than happy to actually answer any questions as the show goes along as well. So today, I do have a reading from the Book of One as usual, and I don't really know if this necessarily goes with the topic today, but I believe this goes with everything. This really goes with everything, and this is, of course, from my book, the Book of One, and it is chapter 30. Thoughts become things. One of my favorite topics. So there are two forces in constant action in the universe. They, you may call it, the positive and the negative force. These forces are fed and drawn upon by our actions, words, feelings, and thoughts. The more negative actions, words, feelings, and thoughts you project, the stronger the negative forces become. In return, negativity becomes the stronger force in your universe. The more positive actions, words, feelings, and thoughts you project, the stronger the positive forces become. In return, positive becomes the stronger force in the universe. Remember, these forces feed off everything you do. Therefore, you must be aware of all you do, say, and feel. That's quite a tall order, isn't it? And of course, nobody is perfect. This is an ongoing lesson on life. We learn day to day, and hopefully, we muster up and learn new tools that we can evolve and grow upon from our own mistakes. Goodness knows I have made many of them in my lifetime. Um, anyway, so with that being said, let's go ahead and do our weekly minute meditation. This is just a 1 minute meditation to give you the opportunity to ground, center yourself, bring your thoughts to this moment, If you'd like to, you can close your eyes and join me for this minute meditation. Breathing in, I am calm. Breathing out, I am at peace. Blessed be. So again, welcome to today's show. I thought of this particular topic because last week on my feed, an old meme popped up, which is one that I probably share often. And quite honestly, it was my philosophy in my 30s, maybe my early 40s. This idea, and I'm sure you've seen it too, this idea that if we don't put any expectations on people, they'll never let us down. And I actually did live by that, and it worked for me for a little while. It did work for me for a little while, but I came to feel that I was kind of throwing my hands up in the air and just letting the world happen around me, and not really guiding the direction of my life and whatnot. Well, that actually had some negative repercussions in my life. As many of you know, and I do speak about it openly, I am a member of Al Anon. I am a friend and family member of alcoholic and drug addict that I have had in my life. And it really affected me in more ways than I was able to wrap my head around. I mean, I never realized how much expectations I was putting on this person. One of the first things they teach you, and this is not a talk about Al Anon, I'm just mentioning this at the beginning. One of the things they teach you in Al Anon is, and with any 12-step program, is that we are powerless over the alcoholism, we're powerless over the addiction or whatnot. We came to understand that we are powerless over people's behavior. Coming from my aspect, living with an alcoholic for almost 8-10 years, it took a while for me to realize I was powerless over their behavior. Of course, when we have somebody in our lives that we love, and it doesn't need to be an alcoholic or an addict, it could be a partner, it could be dear friends, it could be your children, whatever it is, we have a tendency to have expectations on their behavior. That can really mess us up. At the same time, I will say that letting ourselves believe that we shouldn't have any expectations on people can sometimes be skewed to the point where some people will allow themselves to be taken advantage of, to be walked over, to be used, to be manipulated, to be gaslighted, to all of the things that we don't really want to have in our lives. So yesterday, I was at an Al-Anon meeting last night, and somebody had brought up expectations versus standards, and I was like, "Yes, there we go. there is something to be said about not having expectations met by other people, but it's a different thing when our standards for our lives are not being met. So it's important that we do have no expectations. However, we must have standards. So I did a little digging as I was preparing for the show, and I found some great definitions on what the two different ones are. And let me just read to you what these definitions are. Well, it says expectations and standards are two very, very different things. Expectations are ideas we have about how we want certain situations to turn out or some people to be. Standards, however, are a level of quality that we set for ourselves that serve as a basis for good judgment. So, for example, I have standards within my home. I'm just going to use my personal scenario that I had going on. I had certain standards in my home that drugs and alcohol will not be abused in my home. Now, a drug addict or an alcoholic living with you is either in recovery or they're using. And while you cannot control their behavior when it comes to that, you are allowed to set a standard of not having it within your life. Doesn't mean they can't be in your life, but the abuse of drugs and alcohol in your life is one of my standards. I don't, it's something I've been around. I don't want to be around it. So therefore it is a standard. It could be said, the same could be said for, again, a relationship. Uh, if we are perhaps in a relationship with a narcissist or someone who is physically and or emotionally abusive, while one cannot expect them to behave a certain way other than the way that they're behaving, we must have that moral compass and set our standard of, I do not wish to have this in my life. I do not deserve having this within my life. Um, it was funny while I was looking at doing some research on today's show. A lot of the articles that I was finding had to do with like corporate standards and quality standards and team expectations at your job and whatnot. And, you know, the same can I'm just going to say for me, my standards also apply to my business dealings in the way that I don't expect people to behave a certain way, but I do have standards on professionalism and people completing the task at hand that we've agreed that this is going to happen. When I work with someone, whether it's to help me produce a show or if I'm working at a conference or something like that, there is a certain standard, a quality standard I'm not going to back down on because I just don't feel comfortable with it. Again, behavior, that's a different thing. I can't expect people to behave a certain way. I can't expect people to behave like me. I always say, well, if I can do it, you can do it. That is the worst excuse. That is the worst excuse. Don't ever that goes against it goes against my book of one. It goes against the teachings of magic, harm none, do what you will. We do not impose our will on other people's behavior. So there's like this really fine line that we have to walk and to achieve that balance between not having specific expectations and taking them so personally versus setting standards within our life and using that as a compass. I don't want to say moral compass. I said that earlier and I take that back. A compass on our good judgment. On our good judgment. It's about us. It's not about the other people. It's about us. And I feel that's where a lot of us get discombobulated when it comes to these kinds of scenarios where someone doesn't meet up to our expectations, or someone or something doesn't live up to our standards, we're like, well, am I just being judgmental? Oh, is it just my opinion? Well, yeah, I mean, if you're expecting someone to behave like you, or if you're expecting someone, for example, your let's say your partner brings you home flowers every day from work, it becomes an expectation. And one day they don't bring them, and you're just like so let down and so sad and whatnot. But that's not a standard. It might be for some people. I have certain standards. They must bring me flowers, but that's a little bit too high and mighty in my book. And we might want to reel that back a little bit. People need to have the freedom. People need to have the, how shall we say, to be able to set their own boundaries even on their bad behavior. There's another, I think it's one that I read last week or the week before, on the book of one, where if people's behavior leads them down the wrong path, it was meant to be, because there is a certain lesson that they need to learn. And if they don't learn it, they're going to keep repeating it. Same thing goes for you. Same thing goes for me. We all have our own individual path lessons that we create, either through karma, through action, through good decisions, through bad decisions. But whatever the outcomes of those situations are a learning tool. And we don't have, I don't want to say we don't have the right. It is not in our best interest to try to impose what's good for me on what's good for you, what's good for him, what's good for her. So give people the opportunity to make mistakes. My goodness, you know, having children is a great example. Yes, you have certain standards you want your kids to live up to, but certain expectations are probably going to let you down, and you got to kind of let them spread their wings and scrape their knee and learn from their mistakes a little bit, keeping them safe as much as you can. But people have the right to make mistakes. That's how we learn. So, with that, let me take a quick break from all this. I've seen quite a few have jumped on. I want to say hello to a few of you. I see Marianne. Hi, Marianne. Aloha. I see you in Kauai. Wonderful. Clear vision, attention, and intention is real. Yes, yes. It's important. Lisa Godbout. I hope I said that right. Godbout on Facebook. Hello. Good to see you. And I see Lubaka Piznami on YouTube again. Good to see you here again. Thank you for joining us. Please, by all means, make comments. Please feel free to ask questions. We got a few more minutes. I'm going to be discussing this. Um, so let's talk about. Let's talk a little bit about some of those hiccups and some of those like blockages and obstacles that we're going to meet with this. I will, of course, share with you my personal experience when it comes to this. When I was living with an adamant, using alcoholic and drug addict, they were hiding it from me, and I'm sure many of you might have been through similar situations with other behaviors, if not the very same. And when I voiced my concern on how their behavior was a little off, how I was getting a feeling that they were being sneaky, or that they looked funny, or they sounded funny, or whatever it is, or they didn't meet me at the time they said they were going to meet me, or they didn't come home when they said they were going to come home. They were like, no, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. But meanwhile, in my gut, I knew something was wrong. My intuitive standard was very, very clear. My intuition is usually 99.9% right on. That's why I do what I do. But this person just kept gaslighting me and wearing me down and wearing me down, and literally making me feel like I didn't have intuition anymore, making me feel that I couldn't judge the situation correctly anymore. And I went through a period, as many of you might remember, I stopped doing readings. I stopped taking clients for several weeks, because I just did not feel uh, feel connected to my intuition anymore. I was questioning my intuition, which I never done before. Took me years of developing my psychic ability to not question my intuition, and within 6 months of having this person uh, gaslighting me, I had lost the ability to trust my intuition and my judgment. So in all of that, as I began to restore my inner balance, and as I began to heal from the situation, I started to become a bit more, well, I am now completely confident again with my intuition, but still that how shall we say, that little insecurity of, well, is that right? So there was a little bit of questioning in the background, and it took me it took me coming to terms with the fact that my intuition was key and right the entire time, that I realized that my standard of trusting my intuition had been lowered. I lowered my standards of myself. Um, so it's important that when we start seeing our, while we may not impose our will on other people's behaviors or have expectations on other people's behavior, it's important that we don't lower our standard of ourself, what we, I don't want to use the word expect of ourselves, but what we align with within on what is right for us. So there's that little balance, there's that little leeway of, okay, well, actually, I have a little analogy that I want to share. Not analogy, I forgot what the word is. A little story about a happy ending where I had a situation like that. I had a friend of mine, we're still very, very good friends, and I consider them one of my best friends. And they were dealing with some mental health issues. They had not told me they were dealing with mental health issues. But we would make plans, and either they would cancel at the last minute, or they would be so ridiculously late that I was just angry all the time every time I made plans with them. Or we would go out somewhere and they would just leave and leave me hanging. And, leaving me with no ride and all alone at like some event or something. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I'm like, I can't be treated like this. This isn't right for me. And we did kind of stop being friends for a little while. But I will say that after I got over my anger and sat down with them and explained to them, not of how I expected them to behave, but how I, I have a standard. I do have a standard that when you go out with your friends, you go out with your friends. You communicate if one of them is going to leave. If you plan to be somewhere at a certain time, and I understand, 15, 20 minutes late, but 2 hours late, that is just unacceptable behavior. And they came clean with me, let me know what was going on with them, that they had some severe mental shortcomings that they were dealing with. And now we're back to being best friends. And now I know, I don't want to say how to deal with them, but now I know that when it comes to them, I have to have a different standard. It doesn't mean I'm going to let them walk all over me. It doesn't mean I'm going to let them take advantage of me. But I had to adjust my standard in order to maintain that friendship. Um, Relationships and friendships are about compromise. They are. This is from the notes that I took. Both sides have to make some adjustments. There are, however, some things that are deal breakers. Something or someone not meeting our expectation isn't necessarily a deal breaker. Something or someone not meeting our standards can be. So, with all of that, I will say we're going to go into our intention now, intention portion of the show, but I will close the discussion. Um, I'm going to take some of your questions and check that too before we do the intention. But I will say there is room for adjustment on both. And I just send you good intentions that you've learned the difference between the expectations you have upon other people and yourself. By the way, that would be a whole nother show, and maybe we'll move into that. I'm thinking about doing a talk on self-compassion, and that would probably be a part of that. Is that when we don't meet our expectations of ourselves, we can really let ourselves down. But that's not for today's show. But let's think about what our expectations are. Let's kind of reel in those expectations. I understand that we all do have standards, and I firmly support us upholding our personal standards. But as well, when we have expectations on other people and they don't meet up to them, it's always going to let us down and frustrate us. So maybe raise the standards, lower the expectations. Anyway, I see a few of you, a few more comments here. Hi, Pam. Good to see you here. Thank you. Um, Pam said she had a similar experience with gaslighting, and it does do it. It makes you question. Yeah, it's not a good feeling at all to be disconnected from your gut feeling. And my standards do not allow for gaslighting anymore. I didn't know that at the time, though. Lisa, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through that. Good on you for taking the action needed to restore your own sanity and to work on your own personal healing. It is all about balance. Thank you. Yes, I do see that. Lubaka Piznani said something about betraying your own expectations. And yes, I hope I did mention that enough. And we're going to talk about that. Thank you, Marion, for saying these are great points. And I see Maria on Facebook says, when my personal experience, when you set standards, they are not being met. I have found some other people have known, feel that their standards are actually fine and you simply can't change that. Yeah, it's true. That's true. Alrighty, so we are going to do our intention now. We didn't get to do it last week. I like us all to have the opportunity. Maybe you are inspired by today's talk and topic and discussion. But let's say I do have an intention that I'm going to use. And by the way, I want to share something with you. I might have shared it last week. I was digging in my hall closet, which is my big storage closet, and I was looking for, I don't know, I think my mouse broke and I had to find another mouse or something like that, and I found this book. Okay, I know it's just a little notebook, and oh yeah, I did actually talk about it last week where I wrote down my intention. This is my intention notebook. I don't remember what year it is. I got to go back and read all of the intentions and see which one came true. But I've started keeping an intention notebook. And I write down my intention in my notebook. That way, when I look back and say, oh, look, it manifested, I did it. Or I can write down how long it took to manifest. So it kind of helps me to gauge what's working and what's not working. Anyway, so what is an intention? I hope you all know what it is. We will be creating something, creating a thought form and a visual or a feeling or an emotion during this next few minutes of something you would like to bring into your life. Please harm none, do what you will. Please don't want to bring the death of another person or hurting another person. Harm none, do what you will. Maybe you need clarity. Maybe you need to have lower expectations of other people. Maybe you need your car fixed. Oh, darn, I need that one too, but I'll do that another time. Maybe it could be anything, but it's important that it does not harm anyone. So I'm going to let you take a moment here while I jabber on to think about what it is you would like to intend into your life. And I'd like you to come up with a phrase in your mind that you're going to use, and please use it in the present tense. I am living with a wonderful person that lives up to my standards. I am not holding high expectations to let myself down. I am working at a new job. I am in my car that is running perfectly. So come up with what it is that you would like to bring into your life now and create a short phrase. I am, I have. Not I will, not I'm going to. I am, fill in the blank. I have, fill in the blank. Alrighty. I hope you got an idea of what you would like to intend as we do our weekly spell intention together. So, why don't you go ahead and join me in closing your eyes? And let's just sit quietly for just a moment. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your belly. Again, taking a very deep breath, filling your belly. And as you become more and more relaxed, I'd like you to go ahead and begin to visualize or feel your I am, I have intention begin to materialize in your mind's eye. Doesn't need to be a perfect, clear image, it could be an emotion. And begin repeating the phrase that you've created I am, I have. Allow the image to become clearer and clearer in your mind. Repeating the phrase I am or I have. And what does it look like? See yourself in that scenario. See yourself in that scene with any items, with any people, with any places that are a part of your intention and spell. I am or I have. And now I'd like you to sense how you're feeling now that you have this in your life. See yourself in that scene and sense how you feel. Relieved, happy, grateful, joyful. Allow the emotion to fill the thought form you're creating. And let's repeat the phrase in our mind a few times. I am, I have. I am, I have. I am, I have. And I'm going to do a couple ohms. And as I do these ohms, you're welcome to join me. But we're going to allow that thought form to begin to raise up above our head, getting higher and higher. Oh. release the thought form into the universe and repeat with me. And as I do will it, so mote it be. Blessed be. Woohoo! I felt your energy. Good job. Good job. Excellent. Excellent. Anyway, so that is our show for today. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. I hope you got something out of our meditations, our intention and spell work. Next week, as usual, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I most certainly will be here. I've got one, two. Oh, I got 3 more shows before vacation. So, yeah, I'm here for the next 3 weeks, and then I'll be gone for a week or 2. I'm not sure. Or at least the next 2 weeks. I might be gone for a week or 2 on vacation. But please, by all means, if you like what I'm doing, you are welcome to join me on Patreon, become a supporting member. You can also become a supporting member on Facebook as well as on YouTube. If you don't want to become a monthly supporting member, you can just make a one-time tip donation in the description of this video, wherever it's playing across all the platforms. I just want to thank you so much for being here, and let's do some wonderful closing words as we leave. You can join me by breathing or just thinking the words with me. As I breathe in this sacred day, my calm will grow. I call upon my inner guides to help me take it slow. My serenity and tranquility will overflow with harm to none, blessings to all. Blessed be. I love you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'll see you next week.